Hello, everyone.
Hey guys, how's it going? You look good out there. I can tell. I can see you from here, at least in the chat. Welcome to Don't Freak Out Friday. It's Don't Worry Wednesday, the Friday edition. We are here again, like we said we were going to be. And yeah, we have Kyle as our special guest again. We just can't get enough of this guy. He's outstanding.
Yeah, good news for everybody though is next week you don't have to see me again.
Well, we might have to find a way to
You
make
get
it
to
happen.
you get to look at my awesome brother Ryan instead, which is going to be fantastic to see him back in the seat. It'll be
Yes.
I can't wait for that.
Yes, it will be nice to have Ryan back. It'll be fun, because it's always fun your first show back after a while.
Yeah.
It can get a little bit interesting. So make sure you're here on Wednesday because that'll probably be a fun and entertaining show.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and he'll just get back from his trip. There'll be probably a lot of cool stories and stuff. So yeah.
yes, yes. So tonight's not going to be a very long show. We are in the final stages of putting together a project that's going to be really, really awesome. So if you are not subscribed to the Static P YouTube channel, you should definitely go there and subscribe and hit the little notification thing so you get notifications because there's going to be some cool stuff coming out early next week, hopefully. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting, and we'll probably have an announcement on Wednesday about it as well. So, because hopefully it'll be live by Wednesday. What do you think, Kyle?
I hope so. We'll see.
Yeah,
And that's the goal. And if not
yeah,
Wednesday, it'll be very close. So stay tuned. Keep your eyes out for that.
yeah. Well, Princess asked which channel, the Static P channel. So we'll probably post something on this channel as well. But I know Ryan's going to put together a video to announce what's happening, and he'll be putting it on the Static P YouTube channel. So yeah, those of you who don't know what that is, maybe I can find it here real quick.
No, you can't.
I can't find it.
Well, it's already done.
Oh, somebody put it.
Someone
Oh,
someone's
Princess.
too good at her job.
Yes. Princess, you're amazing. You are amazing. So, okay. So anyway, so we've got some topics here. Princess, I saw that you put on, oh, first of all, before we get started, this is Don't Worry Wednesday. It's a show where we handle any challenges or issues for those of you who don't know that. Also, we are not professional therapists, counselors, attorneys, police officers, doctors, or highway servicemen. We just want to be your friend, and we want to help you in any way we possibly can. And so feel free to post any challenges you may be having, post them in the chat, or you can put it on our website, bss.studio, and I'll put the link to that, to the exact place to put it. You guys are getting really good at finding the right place. Maybe because Princess posts the link right there.
You can't win. You got to do it before you say it.
I know. Yes. Or I can just read what Princess posted. So you can put them in the chat on the BSS website, or if you want to remain anonymous, you can send us an email at dww@bss.studio, or you can direct message myself, Static P, which is Ryan, or Princess on Discord, and she has our numbers posted right there. So feel free to do any of those options, and we will get your message, and we'll be able to handle it. So it'll be good. So anyway, we just want to surround you guys with love and encouragement, and maybe some fresh perspective on some of the things that plague a lot of us. And at the moment, it looks like we don't have anyone on the stream that has an issue in the backlog. So what we were going to do is handle some of the ones that have been sitting around for a long time, and we just haven't seen these people around. Oh, Princess, thank you. This show is produced by Jesse, and he's amazing. He's the guy who made it possible for us to be on here. So the best way to show Jesse thank you, go to the support section, start a ticket on bss.studio. That's the best way to thank Jesse. Just say thank you. Don't actually complain about something. But Jesse says we all could do it without him, but it would not be as much fun.
Yeah, and you're right, Gray. We were just looking at that too, just before we started, looking at how many questions have been handled here, and it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, what was the number?
What Ryan and Joe have been able to do. I mean, what we have on the spreadsheet is, and I don't know if this is all of them, but 316, something like that. There's probably more. 316
Yeah.
questions. That's fantastic.
Yeah, well, and if you count the time that that Derek was doing it, the beta
right, and that's just since we've had this system here. I mean, who knows how many before? I mean, this is really fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's really an honor that you guys tune in and listen and ask us stuff. I mean, it's really humbling and it's great, so I really appreciate all you guys, because without you guys, it wouldn't be possible.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but at any rate, we have, since I don't see anyone, well, some of the recent ones we've got from Cherry or Shadowfax.
Yeah, let's do Shadowfax. It sounds like they can't be here, but it was something they wanted handled today. I think they're going to come back and watch later.
Okay. Yeah, Princess, would you, since you put that on the website, do you know what the deal is with Shadowfaxes? Because was that the case where they're wanting us to handle it on this show? Gray, yes. There were years where they were just on a different channel. So we started them on this channel over a year ago. But there was the Static P Plus channel where they were going on for a while, and then the Beta Cat had on his own channel. Don't Worry Wednesday was going on. He's actually the founder.
Yeah, well, and actually before Static P Plus, they were on the Static P main channel also. So they've been on, I guess this would be the fourth channel that they've been on. So yeah.
Yep. So, but it's cool. It's, when I started listening and watching what Ryan and Derek were doing, because it was them two when I started watching it. When I found out that that Derek didn't want to be doing it anymore, Ryan and I had some conversations. We're like, we gotta keep this show going because it's really helpful. I think for a lot of people, and yeah, it turns out that it has been. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So Princess, should we do Shadowfaxes now?
Yeah, she put a note in there for you on the spreadsheet.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Gotcha. I was looking at the chat.
Yeah, one of the hard things is all the different places to try and figure out here what we're looking at. But
all right. Well, let's do.
Hey, thanks for that link, Jesse. Yeah, he just put a link in there for some of the older stuff.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. The first thing you saw, Saigo, was A Reason for Suffering. Ah, oh, that's a great first impression of the P.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do Shadowfaxes. So here is a link. This is the post. You guys can go on there and do that. The 15th Ghost. Where do you guys get the inspiration for your songs? That's a really good question. Ryan would be the best person to answer that, because I imagine you are asking about the Static P music and Criminal Idol series and all that kind of stuff. So if you come back on Wednesday, he will be back, and I'm sure he'd be really happy to describe some of that stuff. I can tell you for my music, I just generally start playing and songs kind of come out. When it comes to lyrics, that's always tough. I always, but as far as lyrics are concerned, I just always want to have something that's going to be empowering and uplifting. As far as a message goes in my songs, I just don't want to have stuff that's going to, make people feel, bad about their lives or whatever. So, yeah, that's kind of the inspiration behind Black Static and Swerve as a whole. So we just want to produce media that's going to be helpful for people. And if it can be entertaining as well, then that's great. But yeah. So anyway, I just posted the link there to Shadowfaxes, and I will read it. You guys can read along. And yeah, we'll get to it. So, all right. It's called My Friend Has Disappeared into Thin Air. So let's see. Okay, it goes like this. My friend just stopped responding out of nowhere on June 22nd. They haven't been online. I've tried messaging them a lot. Nothing. They haven't spoken in any servers, I believe. I'm so scared. I'm worried it was something I did, but my friend says that it's probably not it. It's even worse because we love each other. We were in a relationship and we still are. So I'm just scared. I'm just hoping they'll be all right. I have bad news. My friend deleted their account. I don't have any idea why. Apparently, on a video chat app, my friend sent Starry, substitute name, a friend request on a video chat app on the 24th, 2 days after he disappeared from Discord. She's tried contacting him there countless times, but no response. We think he deleted the app. I'm so scared. I need some help or maybe some advice. I've been having dreams about him, even if it was just a few days after he disappeared. Now they're turning into nightmares. How do I stop dreaming about him? And how do I come to make peace with his disappearance? And that is from Shadowfax. So wow, that can definitely be a frustrating and a tough thing to deal with, because when someone just kind of disappears out of thin air, with no, hey, I'm gonna be gone for a while, or I'm going here, or even if they said something like, I don't like you anymore, I don't want to talk to you, that at least you would know there's a reason for them being gone, but for them to just disappear, that's probably the hardest way to break contact, I would imagine. So Kyle, did you have anything to start us off with this one?
Yeah, no, I agree. That's probably about the hardest way to lose contact with somebody, because there is just so many questions. There's no closure. There's no, my wife kind of had an experience like this with one of her friends. It's a really weird thing, and for a long, where the friend just disappeared, stopped communicating with anybody that she used to communicate with. Just nobody knew what was really going on. But eventually, after 8-9 years or something, all of a sudden everything was fixed. It was better, and nobody really knew what happened or what went on in those years. It's just not. The person doesn't want to talk about it. So it's interesting, and it was really hard for my wife, because it was, just this really weird experience, and she thought maybe she did something wrong, and well, we couldn't figure out what it could have possibly been. And it was just really kind of a sad thing. But in my experience, I think we tend to assume the worst in all situations. If we have if given the option, most of us will assume the worst possible thing has happened. And so try to fight that gut reaction, because it's generally somewhere in between there and the best possible thing. So because there's a broad range of things that it could be. I mean, I know some people might lose the ability to use the internet for one reason or another. Maybe the house got hit by lightning and it fried all their computers, something like that. Or so it's like, okay, they just haven't had a chance, and they're still waiting on money to buy a new computer or insurance to come and get, you never really know what happened. And sometimes it can, that's not really a huge deal. It's a bummer. It's really annoying, but there's no ill intent there, right? It's just something that happened, and you just have to deal with it. So try not to be so stuck on the negative side of things. It might not be that bad. Although it could be, but it sounds to me like you really care about this person, and so I can't imagine that you would have done anything specifically to hurt them, right? I mean, it's very apparent that you sort of actively try to do the opposite. So so I mean, you just never know what's happening. So just try not to be scared. That's just, going to cause you anxiety. And as far as the dreams and making peace with the disappearance and that kind of thing, again, I think you'll be more at peace if you try and assume that maybe something a little more out of their control happened, and not necessarily in a bad way. And Princess Yellow here has some good comments too. And one thing I was thinking about was parents too. I mean, sometimes, people get grounded, no more, or take this stuff away, take the phone away, delete the accounts. You never really know how far a parent's going to go for whatever arbitrary reason. Or maybe, some schools have rules. If someone's at some sort of boarding school or something like that, I mean, you just really never know. Or countries. Sometimes the country will come and ban a thing. And so that could be totally out of everybody, and then it looks like there was an account that was deleted, but that again, that could have been forced by somebody else. You never really know. I would try not to take it personally, if you can. I think, and then that's how you can kind of maybe get through some of this until they come back. I mean, you really can't know unless they come back and tell you. So worrying about that is just going to occupy your energy that you could be using for other things. And I know that's hard. I'm not saying that's easy, but just try to think of some ways that maybe it wasn't something that you did wrong. Think of some ways that maybe it was a total fluke accident, that some things happened. Come up with these other scenarios, right? Even though they're also equally unknown, right? You never really will know which one of the scenarios, but if you can come up with some other ones that are a little more benign or not as bad, then, that'll give you the ability to kind of say, well, hey, wait a minute, maybe it's not so bad. And then you can start to move on from there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's about that'll be about all I got to start it out. What are your thoughts?
Well, I like what you said. I think, and I also like what Seabass just posted on here. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. And I love that quote. I know I've read that somewhere before. I didn't know who had said it, but I appreciate you posting that, Seabass, because here's the thing: it may not be over. It just may be on pause for right now, for whatever reason. And you can, like Kyle was saying, there are almost infinity reasons why this could have happened. It's incredible. And if you can get your mind, like Kyle was saying, to dwell upon a reason that's positive, or at least not negative, like, hey, they're okay. Maybe they just, the only way they got online was with their phone, and they dropped their phone in the ocean when they were on vacation, but they're on vacation with their family and they're having a great time and they're getting sunburned or whatever, something like that. Or so if you can program your mind with those types of scenarios, like Kyle was saying, that can go a long way to comforting you, rather than just assuming the worst. One thing you can do, I've done this many times with situations where I will, because like Kyle was saying, it's a natural reaction for us to just assume the worst, right? I mean, I do that. Kyle, I'm sure you've done that before.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens and we don't know what it is that happened, but we automatically, our mind goes to the worst possible scenario, and it's like, oh my gosh, that happened, and and then we just get all dejected and stressed out and worried and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Well, I would play this little game with myself and I'd be like, okay, what if that did actually happen? I mean, I don't know if that happened or not, but like, what if that happened? What would I do if that happened? And then, see, the game to play here is coming up with a plan of how you would respond in the worst possible scenario. Because if you can have a plan for a response, and if your response can be productive, how will I respond to this to make it better? How will I, if that actually happened, what am I going to do in order to deal with this and make it better? And then what you find out is you've got a plan for the worst possible scenario. And when you have the plan, you're not as afraid of it because you know what you're going to do. You're not lost in the fog anymore. And I played that game so many times with myself in different scenarios that happened to me that were like, oh my gosh, if this goes wrong, there's going to be a whirlwind of hurt. It's going to really, really stink for a long time. What am I going to do if that happens? And then when I sat there and thought about it, I was like, all right, well, if that happened, I would just do this, this, and this. And then I would do this, and I would call this person, and I would, do a handful of things. And and then I'd be like, all right, now that can happen, and I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm not afraid of that happening anymore. And then, like Kyle said, almost every time it's not that worst case scenario. It's a much better situation than we could have possibly expected. But it's easier to adjust up than get hit with something, that's worse than we thought. So it's okay to imagine the worst scenario if you're coming up with a plan to react and to respond to it. So that's one way you can kind of calm the worry nerves a little bit, is come up with a plan. Another thing you can do is pray. And I would take those scenarios like Kyle was talking about, the better ones. Take ones that are it's almost like a good scenario. Like, They were in a tropical paradise and they dropped their phone into the ocean, but they're okay and they're having a blast. They're having a really good time. Whatever. And if you take those scenarios that are good and replay those scenarios in your head enough, it becomes a habit, and your subconscious mind starts to make those the real thing. But really, I mean, I don't know. It's always so hard dealing with the unknown. That is by far the most difficult, just not knowing. And so this is where our imagination can either be a really good friend to us or a really horrible enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it on a sign one time. It was great. It said, worry is just the misuse of the imagination. And I was like, that is brilliant, because it truly is. I mean, when you worry, you're using your imagination, because it hasn't happened yet, or you don't know what's happened or something. You're just projecting thoughts into an event or into the future. And it's just a thought process. You're using your imagination, but you're using your imagination in a way that reduces your power, and it can cause you sadness or depression or despair, or all kinds of negative things can happen. And so but none of it's real yet. It's all just imagined. So if you can take your imagination and spin it around and start using it properly for things that are good and positive and things that are going to be productive, that's a great way to use your imagination. Because then what'll happen is you'll start to move forward. And then with this situation with your friend, even though you don't know, you will find some comfort in the fact when you start using your imagination to think of something that's not so bad. You'll find comfort in that, and you'll be able to move forward in the midst of that. And then when they pop up again, you'll be able to just welcome them back and pick up where you left off, and it'll be a lot easier. You won't have a whole bunch of ground. Oh man, what happened? You'll probably have some of that still. Like, dude, what happened to you, man? Like, well, wow, like, we're really kind of nervous. But at that point, they'll explain it, and you'll find out it wasn't as bad as what you thought it was. So I don't know. It goes right along with exactly what Kyle said. Just try to use your imagination in a way that's going to empower you, and that will take care of the worry. It'll probably stop the nightmares. And yeah, I think that'll help you get off to the right start. So definitely keep in contact with us about this. If there's any further developments, we'd love to know what's going on, and let us know if you've tried some of this stuff and if it worked. So yeah, I really appreciate you posting Shadowfax, and hopefully some of this was helpful. Kyle, did you have anything else to tack on?
No, I think that's fantastic.
Perfect.
Yep.
That was too quick of a response. I was drinking my water.
I'm good at that. I'll give you a one-word response every time.
You do. You're good at the one-word responses.
Yeah.
The first time I ever met Kyle, I knew he was the king of the one-word responses. Like, here, you get him on a show like this, and he'll be talkative, and he'll be able to explain something, and he'll have a bunch of very wise words to say. I'll tell you, when I first met him, I went up to him and I said, hey, how's it going? Good. Hey, I'm Joe. What's your name? Kyle.
That was pretty much it.
So what do you do, Kyle? I go to school. Oh, really? Where do you go to school at? Tech. which is Michigan Tech. Oh, no kid. My brother goes to that school. That's a great school. What are you majoring in? Math. And I'm just sitting there like, I cannot crack this egg open. Like,
Yep.
It's great.
That was me that was me before I met Joe, and he showed me how to be awesome.
I don't know about that.
Then potato.
You were already awesome.
So
I just taught you how to say more words, maybe.
It's a slightly off-topic thing from what but related to what you were saying. I learned recently that our brains use more calories in the process of performing functions and thinking than any other part of our body.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you need to be on a weight loss program, just think more?
I don't know. Perhaps. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know too many details, but
is that why couch potatoes are overweight a lot of time? Because they're just watching TV and they're not thinking?
Your activity, all of your activity levels are low, right? You're not thinking, and you're not, but maybe somebody who's an engineer or something, it might not necessarily gain a whole lot of weight because they are thinking all day, even though they might be sitting. Mm-hmm. Perhaps. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
But
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, Princess, you found who said that quote I used. That's awesome. You're so good.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, Shadowfax, thank you so much for posting, and hopefully that was helpful. And let us know. Let us know what's going on, and we'd be happy to, revisit it or expand or whatever. And yeah, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
So,
I see Cherry.
Cherry, you're just in time because yours is next.
It is.
You've got one that you called Yume.
Or Yume.
Or you may. You may read this one if you want, Kyle.
Sure.
Is it Yume or you may? You may. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry. But okay.
Okay. Speaking of dreams,
I'm gonna post a link. I'm gonna do it before Princess. Watch.
I'm just gonna read it. You'll all have to catch up with the link.
I did it.
I have a new dream. I call it the Yume Project. I'm going to start singing with my own voice to my music, despite my insecurities. My new dream is to become a music artist that can prove to the world that redemption is possible, and that love can save the world and ourselves. I want to drown myself in the sound, and I want everything to be authentic. I want my own studio with a recording station and so many instruments that I can be my own orchestra. But there's a few problems. Where do I even begin? How do I get the money to do all this? How do I become noticed in such a large industry? And you know what? I tell you what, talk about dreaming. The other guy here with me today is like does such a good job at this of visualizing the future, designing it, and coming up with a plan and putting it into action. So I'm going to kick it right over to him because he's so good at this.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I sure do appreciate you saying that, Kyle. I feel like I've got so much. I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface of my potential, and I feel like I have got a lot of room to grow, in all these areas. But I'll tell you, I think Cherry, the first thing that sticks out to me is that when you say, I'm going to start singing with my own voice to my music, despite my insecurities. That is huge. The very fact that you made that decision to do it anyway, even though you're insecure about it, because I'll tell you what, that's the biggest battle for me as a musician, and for a lot of people I know as musicians and as artists. It's just getting over that insecurity. It's getting over the sense of, oh man, it's not that good. I'm going to put it out there and people aren't going to like it. What if people don't like it? What if it doesn't do very well? And all those thoughts kind of defeat us before we even get started. And for you to make the statement of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to sing with my own voice to my music, despite my insecurities, that is a huge victory. And I just really need to give you props for that, because that is so cool and I'm so impressed. So I wanted to start there. So yeah, I mean, as far as becoming an artist, to do these things and to have this mission, that's a great direction to go. You want to prove to the world that redemption is possible. I love it. And that love can save the world and ourselves. I love that too. And not just because it's the word love, but I love it. And I think you're heading in the right direction. You've got some great wording in here that tells me you've thought this through and you've visualized some things. You want to drown yourself in the sound. You want everything to be authentic. And okay, so next step. Now we're getting into, I want my own studio with many instruments. You can be your own orchestra. Where do I even begin? Where do I get the money? All those things. That can be a big hang up. And you know what? I think these days you don't even need a whole lot of money to get started. I don't know what your budget is, but I know there are free programs out there. There are free DAWs, digital audio workstations out there. What's there? GarageBand, and there's Audacity. There's a whole bunch. As far as getting plugins and instruments sounds like that, I'm sure you can find some really, really good ones. I would go to, there's a website called Don't Crack. DONT crack. Let me verify that before I tell you. But they have, let's see.
Well, while you're looking for that, I'll just continue real quick. The cost of entry to these things is not nearly what it used to be. I mean, it used to be you had to go somewhere and rent studio time to even get started. And now it's like you can get on, buy a used computer equipment or instrument equipment, and you can go really far with this stuff. I mean, it does not take a lot of money to get going.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then there's a lot of free instruments online. If you're comfortable doing the MIDI thing. I mean, we found. I mean, Ryan's used everything from free to on up. And it's really amazing what you can do when you play around with some of this free stuff.
Uh-huh.
Or if you have a microphone, you can make your own instrument noises. I know when Ryan and Joe did their first album together, we had sounds in there that were banging on filing cabinets and air mattresses and all kinds of weird stuff. I mean, you can do a lot with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So don't let that hold you back, for sure. All right, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, well, there's the website, don'tcrack.com. If you go there, they have got a ton of free stuff that you can download, free instruments, and recording software and everything like that. And really, here's the thing. As you do all this stuff, I mean, it's probably best to start with very little.
Mm-hmm.
And learn how to use that very little. And then as you learn, then you can expand into different things. But I know this from experience, if when I decided I wanted to get all the stuff I needed first, the stuff I thought I needed first, and then get going, what I found was I was overwhelmed with all the stuff that I had at my disposal, and I didn't know how to use any of it. So you've got that. Let's see. There's also a YouTube guy.
It's kind of like building a puzzle a little bit, you know, as you're learning a new skill, or I mean, it's not necessarily new to you anymore, but you know, as you're going through that learning phase, it's kind of like a big puzzle. You know, if you're looking at all the pieces in a 1,000-piece puzzle, it's way overwhelming. You have to break it up, and the easiest way to break it up is to start small. You know, put together a couple of 10-piece puzzles first. You know, so having everything all at once is very overwhelming, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. But then as you start to learn some of these tools, and feel free to come back and ask questions. You know, Ryan and I have talked about putting together some kind of educational stuff as far as mixing and recording and doing stuff like that. There are some great courses out there that are fairly cheap. One guy that I really like is he has a company called Creative Sound Lab. I'll also put the link to his channel in here. I've bought some of his courses. They're generally really inexpensive. Like sometimes he puts stuff on sale. Like he's got these whole big courses that he sells for like $12, you know, and you can learn some of the ins and outs of how to, you know, mix and how to apply different effects to things and make them sound good. But so you can really get started for cheap. The only thing, probably the most expensive piece of equipment you're going to get in the beginning is a microphone. Your vocal microphone. That's probably something you don't want to skimp on. And that's going to be at least a few $100s to get you started. So, and if you're wondering about recommendations, you can feel free to hit me up in Discord, or Ryan would know as well. Actually, Kyle has done so much research when it comes to microphones. You know, he's like our research and development guy at Black Static and Swerve. He finds the gear that we need to be paying attention to, different plugins and everything like that. Did you find the East-West stuff for Ryan?
Yeah.
You did. Yeah. So Kyle has done massive amounts of research into stuff that sounds good, and stuff that works well, and all that. So he's a great person to talk to about different options as far as equipment goes. So as far as getting the money to do that, sometimes you just got to get a job that pays you some money so you can fund what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that big a deal. Like, and it might take you places you don't expect. For example, there's a guy named Jeff Bezos who started Amazon.com. And you know the reason he started Amazon.com? It wasn't because he wanted to have a big business where he sold books, because that's all it was at the beginning. It was just books, selling books online. The reason he started Amazon.com was because he wanted money to colonize Mars and to make space travel, you know, available to the general public. Like that's what he wanted to do. And so he started Amazon to fund that. Yes, Amazon started with books.
It was just an online bookstore. It was like a Barnes and Noble.
Yep. But actually, and nobody knew this. Nobody knew this about him until some reporter tracked down one of his ex-girlfriends. And she's like, "Oh, you don't even understand what he's doing." No, he's doing this. He didn't start Amazon to start Amazon. He started it to make money so he could go to Mars.
Sounds so ridiculous. Sell books to Mars.
I know, right? But now you look at what they're doing now. Now they've got the SpaceX Corporation. They're doing private spacecraft launches. He's working with Elon Musk and, you know, all this kind of stuff. It's crazy. But all that aside, that's just a little side story about you might need to do something to make a little money to get started. If you need a few $100 to get a microphone, you can mow lawns, you can shovel snow, you can, you know, see if there's odd jobs people need done. Or if there's a job available you can get at a local business or something like that, at a store or a restaurant or something like that, earn some money. I know a lot of people say waiting tables or delivering pizzas is great because you get tips. And so you can make more money faster doing that. But those are things you don't have to let money stand in your way of getting started. And we are proof of that. Because the first project we did together, we had nothing. I didn't even have internet access. I had to borrow money to get internet access. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, we borrowed all the microphones we used. We borrowed the guitar. Well,
yeah,
most of the guitars. You had one, right? An acoustic or something. No, you didn't.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had acoustic guitar. I didn't have any electric guitars. I borrowed that. It was funny. One guy, I knew I had an in for some gear because this friend of mine, he was an absolute gear junkie, right? He, like, from the time he was 15 years old, or maybe even earlier, maybe like 14, he had started accumulating gear, guitars and mics and drums and stuff, recording equipment and everything like that. You know, he just started accumulating this stuff. And the funny thing was, when we started doing that project, he was in jail. So I called his mom and I said, "Hey, does he have all that gear around somewhere? Do you think he'd be okay with me borrowing it?" And she said, "Yeah, come get it, you know, blah, 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 blah." And so, you know, I ended up talking, you know, and she said, "If you want to go and visit him and ask him, you can do that. Or I'll ask him when I go see him and whatever, you know, for whatever reason." So we got permission, but yeah, it was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Cherry, I'm super proud of you for wanting to get started here. Oh, and then the next thing, how do I become noticed in such a large industry? You know, interestingly enough, the largeness of the industry these days should not be intimidating to anyone at all. The face of the music industry is changing so much, and mainstream is no longer the mainstream. So we think of the big, huge, you know, stars that are out there that are, you know, that you see on TV or that you see in, you know, the ones that are promoted on the big, you know, the big screen or whatever, right? Those people, they don't make up the majority of the music industry anymore. The music industry now is becoming much more community based. And a person to watch is Static P, because he's doing a lot of things right by, you know, interacting with community, releasing music, and then also interacting with his fans and doing all that stuff. And with the internet now, you know, we can do that all from home. It used to be a lot of work because you'd have to tour around and you'd have to do all kinds of stuff. You'd have to play live at a lot of different places until you finally got a following. And then, you know, those people would go to all your shows and they'd follow you around. And It was crazy. But now it's all online. So as long as you're creating and releasing stuff on a regular basis, you're going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
You're here where there's other musicians. You know, you're here where there's other musicians like Ryan and myself, and there's other people as well. And if you can collaborate with other musicians, that then opens you up to all those fan bases as well. And you can make a fairly decent living in not too long with the right types of effort and pushing the right buttons there. Kyle has a lot of insight. He has tracked kind of the Static P journey, so he can give you some information as far as what he's done in order to get where he is. So I'm going to turn it over to him because I've already talked for way too long, but this topic really excited me. So I appreciate you asking it, Cherry. And Kyle, I will leave it to you.
Yeah, I don't have, honestly, a whole lot to add. I mean, I think that, what Joe said is it's obvious that you've thought about this, that you've spent the time actually visualizing it. Keep that up. I know, just every day, you're going to want to try and create a habit of looking at that. And then every time you're about to do something, or make some commitment of your time and energy, you want to ask yourself, how does this fit in with that dream? Is it, am I getting closer or farther with this? Is this just slowing me down? Or is it bringing me closer? And then evaluate if you should be doing that thing long term. So, but as far as, how to become noticed in the industry, I agree. That's kind of the tricky question everybody has, I think, whether it's, music or, you get on YouTube. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to get noticed on YouTube, or you've got, massive corporations trying to figure out how to get your attention with advertisements. It's always the question, how do I get the attention of everybody else? And as far as I can tell, there's no real answer that always works 100% of the time for that.
Mm-hmm.
You will attract people to yourself based on who you are and the way you present yourself. And that's that's kind of why brands spend so much money promoting their brand. They know they will attract people based on what their brand looks like. It's why Apple is so attractive to so many people, because they really focus on that. Their product quality doesn't matter so much anymore. It's how cool is it to own an iPhone? It's how cool is it to have a MacBook? It's not necessarily how although they make the product look good, it's not really about how good is the product actually. It's how good does it look? And that's how they approach it. Now, there's other companies out there who are equally successful that don't focus on how they look, but they focus on quality. And then the quality of the product speaks for the company instead. And so there's all kinds of different ways, and it's totally opposite things, but successful nonetheless. And so there's all these different answers you can get. And so there's no one answer. The answer is, I would say, so don't worry about it a whole lot. If you are good and you are consistent, you will get noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you get good is handled by being consistent.
Yep.
It's all about consistency. And then on the back end, so of that is staying, I guess, character, staying true to yourself, who you are, who you need to be, and don't fake it. Don't act like somebody you're not. Don't turn into somebody you don't want to be just to make somebody else happy, because that can't last long term. Right? Don't change yourself to make other people, you can change yourself to make you better and to help people more. That's fine. But just to be a people pleaser, or to be, the popular thing now is to be like the perfect image of a man, or a perfect image of a woman, right? And there's that sort of visual appeal. Conforming to that is not a permanent thing, right? That'll only last for 10 years. So don't get caught up in that. Just be you and be genuine. And honestly, most people, what they're looking for nowadays is just someone who is genuine and real and not faking it. And you can attract a lot of people by just being honest. So, yeah. I think that sticks out now. There's so much drama. If you can just be yourself, and that'll go a long way. Don't get caught up in all the crazy. So, and then one thing that we did specifically, and a lot of people are starting to do this now. If you look around in different type of if you look around YouTube, different channels and things, you'll see, one thing we started a while back was we turned a good song or two into, hey, maybe we can sort of turn this into a series, and have like a running thing. A lot of folks have recently learned to start doing that. When you look around on YouTube, there's a lot of multi-part things happening all over, and that would be something to consider too. So if you're going to put out an album, just write in there, this is, somehow it doesn't have to be a continuous story or something, right? But shape it a little bit, have it be from one to the next, or at least say, hey, the next one's coming, expect it at this time, or this is track 3, wait for track 4. Even if it's something that simple, if you're putting together an album, I think that goes a long way towards keeping interest. So, yeah. But again, I think, the biggest thing is you've got a dream, keep it, look at it all the time, hold on to it, run with it, and look for someone to run with a little bit too.
That helps.
They don't necessarily have to be working directly with you, but maybe someone else is doing something similar. Make friends that have similar goals. So you could start with Static, with Ryan. I'm sure he'd love to be kind of a part of this in some way. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I wanted to reiterate the importance of what Kyle was talking about as far as visualizing what you want. You say you want a recording studio with many instruments, you can be your own orchestra. What's that look like? What's that studio room look like? What color is it? What does it smell like? What does the floor look like? What's the texture of the walls? What kind of soundproofing materials in there? What's your rack system look like as far as, your recording rack? What about an amp room? Are you going to have an amplifier room in there? What kind of gear closet with how many microphones, how many different microphone options do you want in that gear closet? How many different, you want to see like cables all over the place in a big mess? Or do you want to see them neatly hung up, so your engineers in your studio that, by that point in time, you have hired engineers, because when you can afford a big high class studio like that, you can afford to pay some people to work on stuff for you. So you can focus on creating the music. You don't have to focus on everything else. And then what kind of people are they? Your engineers, the kind of people you work with. You know, so if you can take and imagine a day in that studio and think about it, take a few minutes and really, really create that vision and hold on to it in your mind and go there. The thing about our subconscious mind is it doesn't know the difference between a real event and an imagined event if you vividly imagine the event. Like your subconscious will treat it like it's a real memory. And the more you have that real memory, the more you just start to naturally act like the person who has experienced that real memory. And by acting that way, you automatically move in the direction of having that. So that's why visualization is so important. It's not like some name it and claim it, you know, type of thing where it's like, I'll just picture it and the universe will give it to me. It's not that. I know there's some stuff out there where they talk about that, but they don't add in the key elements of why that works. The only reason it works is because when you visualize stuff vividly, your brain thinks it's real. So then you start to act like it's real, and your actions that lead to those habits automatically move you in the direction of getting that. But it's not like you put feelings into the universe and the universe just grants you your wishes. That's not the mechanics of it. You become that person through through that visualization. And then you move in that direction. And it's weird. It's almost automatic. But you got to keep doing it. The key that Kyle was talking about, consistency. Consistently visualize, consistently write music, consistently perform it, consistently think about, what do I need to do next? You know, okay, do you have all the gear you need? If not, what's it going to take to get it? A lot of it's downloadable for free. Maybe you need to buy a few things. What's it going to take to get the money to buy it? And then start doing those things. And you can have a plan. And when you have that consistent action, once you're set up, then you can start consistently writing and releasing stuff. And that's one thing I admire so much about Ryan, is that he has been releasing music videos since what? Age of 15?
Give or take.
Something like that. He has always been willing to put his stuff on YouTube. Now, some of the stuff isn't there anymore. Some of the stuff has been removed. You know, there's some really interesting things on there, but he has always been willing to create it and make it available to the public. That was my biggest hurdle. And in a lot of ways, it still is. I'm just always so scared to share what I have done with the rest of the world, because I'm afraid of it being judged. I'm afraid of it being, you know, ridiculed. I'm afraid of it just being ignored. But Ryan has overcome that fear. And even from a very young age, he overcame that fear. And if you do the same thing and overcome that fear, and you just do it consistently, it'll all start to kind of fall into place. And then different things will open up, and you'll follow those paths, and you'll start to learn more, and you'll start to learn more, and you'll start to learn more. You don't have to know everything it's going to take. Mm-hmm. You just need to know how to get started. And hopefully you have a pretty good idea on how to get started, and hopefully some of this has helped. And if you have any further questions about it, definitely come back when Ryan's around. He would have some really great insight on some specific things, I'm sure, because he's lived it and is currently living it. So, yeah, Cherry, I know you've probably left, but I sure do appreciate you posting this. And I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah.
We should all just become Ryan. That's an interesting thought, but no, there's not room in the world for more than one Ryan. You be the best version of you.
Yes.
And let Ryan be the best version of Ryan. But you can get some insight by watching people who have succeeded at that are further down the road than you. You can gain insight from that. So, Cherry, I sure do appreciate it. And I think, like we had said before, first of all, Kyle, did you have anything extra to add on to that?
No, I think that'll work.
All right, perfect. So yeah, like we had said earlier at the beginning of the show, this is probably going to be a short one. I think we'll probably just we'll make that be our last topic for tonight. Like I said, we've got some projects that we're working on, and we're getting right down to the end of them. And it's cool. So stay tuned. But yeah, we'll wrap up tonight. And if any of you guys have anything that you wanted to ask, again, feel free to post them either in the chat. I'm sure the chat will be active for a little while. You can post them there. You can post them on our website, bss.studio. You can send us an email, dww@bss.studio. You can go to Discord and you can find myself, CDVNL, Princess Yellow, or Static P on Discord, and you can message us there as well. So there it is. Princess has the stuff.
Yeah.
Princess is amazing.
Real quick, I just want to say something because the chat was going kind of crazy. But Moon, if you look at a thing called, look up synesthesia.
Synesthesia.
Some people can see colors when they hear sound. So when they hear certain noises, certain sounds, they see the same color every time they hear it. So check that out. It's kind of cool. Or anybody else check it out too. It's neat.
Synesthesia.
Yeah.
Princess posted a link. There it is. It's a link to synesthesia. Imagine when you see a city's skyline, you taste blackberries. Whoa.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different forms it takes, but yeah, so sometimes people can see colors. I don't get it, but it's neat. So anyway, sorry. Just wanted to throw that out there.
That's awesome. Right on. Well, all right, guys. Well, I sure do appreciate you guys being here, and hope you enjoyed your time here on Don't Freak Out Friday. There's also aphantasia, apparently, looks like.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting thing too. Yeah. That's where you can't visualize. It's where you can't visualize things, colors in your head. It's like the opposite problem. You think of a red square. Okay, how red is the square? And some people it'll be a bright red, and some people it's just gray. They actually can't visualize the redness. So, Okay, well, with those really interesting brain things. I hope everybody had a good time, and we will. Well, I won't see you probably for a while. So it's been awesome being here, hanging out, and I really look forward to seeing Ryan come back and taking back over, because he's definitely the one for handling this stuff. So I'm glad he's here.
He's good at it. But Kyle, you've done a really, really good job. You I think will be in the normal rotation.
Well, I can fumble through a little bit, but no.
Yeah. You do good.
So it was great. I'll see you guys again someday, so.
Yes.
Well,
and I'll be here on Wednesday with Ryan, and hopefully we'll have that announcement and it will be live and you guys will be able to see it and experience it and go and just have a good time with it. So you guys are awesome. It's great having you here. And again, stay in touch and we'll see you guys next week right here on Don't Worry Wednesday. So take care, guys. And we'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.